Okay, welcome to chapter 2, Reconciling the Present and Future. In this chapter, Tal Ben Shahar starts off with a little quote by Claudian. Nature has given the opportunity of happiness to all, knew they but how to use it. So, if only it was so easy for us to be happy. Um, in this chapter, he breaks down basically his 4 quadrants of happiness. And he uses an analogy of the hamburger model that some people are hedonistic and like junk food burgers. Some like vegetarian burgers. That's considered the rat race burger. Some people like nihilism burgers, which those are the worst burgers. And some people want happiness burgers, the ideal burger. Hopefully, what we're helping you to discover here. So here, let me move this over for a second. Okay. So happy people live secure in the knowledge that the activities that bring them enjoyment in the present will also lead to a fulfilling future. So he talks about in this quadrant how you've got on your x-axis the present day, and either you're going towards present day benefit or present day detriment. And then on the y-axis, he's got the future, and either moving towards future benefit or future detriment. So with normal, we talk about in Be the Hero all the time about childhood programming. And a lot of that childhood programming isn't just from our parents, it's from society. Society validates us more if we work really, really hard so that one day we'll be happy, right? Study hard, get good grades, and someday in the future, you're going to get into a better college. Study hard in college, you're going to get a better career. Do good in your career, and eventually you get to retire and then go be happy. And this rat race mentality where we're always putting the present day sacrifice or present day detriment to future benefit is his left top quadrant, the rat race quadrant. Well, at the bottom of it would be below that is nihilism. Nihilist is like you're just depressed. You don't really care about being happy today, nor are you even thinking about being happy in the future. I doubt that's you, but if it is you, we definitely can help you snap out of that. It's normal for people to go through periods of grief, for depression at times, but finding ways to at least chase joy in the present day would get you at least to hedonism. Hedonism is about present day benefit and future detriment, though. I'm going to be honest, there are times in our life that I definitely go from happiness to hedonism. I don't do the other side of the quadrant so much anymore. For a very long time, rat race mentality was my go-to, like I shared in the introductory video. But in this lifestyle, it's very easy sometimes for us to go from moving away from just happiness into hedonism, into, I'm just going to wake up and have my coffee and read something that I enjoy and go for a hike or rock climb or biking and then open a beer or a bottle of wine. And our life can become very hedonistic at times. And not to say that that's necessarily bad or that feel shame for it, but I do catch there was this point where I'm like, wow, I really need to be working towards something in the future too. You don't want to, I didn't want another decade to go and go, wow, I haven't really built up options for myself. I need to serve the world better. So I only share that to say, like, hey, sometimes there's a free flowing model here. Sometimes things happen. You lose a job, you go through a divorce, things happen where you maybe feel nihilistic at times. It's just a great to have this awareness that we want to be moving towards happiness. Now, there are a lot of things in my life, or a lot of times in my life, that I managed to do both, where it's like future benefit and present day benefit. Hey, by showing up for an hour recording this video today, I'm going to create future benefit because it's going to be evergreen and it's going to help people long term. Looking at your life, in what ways can I attain both? Ideally, attain both every single day. And future benefit isn't just about indulgence. Future benefit can be self-care, can be, you exercise and doing an type of exercise that you enjoy, not only would bring you the benefit of feeling happy doing it, but it's going to give you future benefit in having better health. Okay, so moving on. Take some time for a second to pause and think about which quadrant or two do you spend most of your time in? Do you feel that you are stuck in the rat race mentality? Do you feel like you do a good job of balancing both and that you're in the happiness quadrant? Do you catch yourself sometimes just being too happy in life and being a little hedonistic? Or are you going through something, a rough spot in your life where you just have kind of given up, but you don't want to give up any longer? So go ahead and pause, take some time to write that, and then we'll go on to the next one. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about Rat Racer and really just clarify. I think if you're watching this, you probably have a really good grasp of it, but just to go over some key points that Tal Ben Shahar talks about in his book. We go through this mentality, and I really think we it's so normal that it's really, really hard to see that there could be another way. I try to teach the other way of how you could, if you're a parent, raise your kids outside of this mentality of go to school, get good grades, secure your future. Never before has it been so accessible to have a different career path and be happy. So one of the big things that he talks about is that we're never told to be happy or that learning can be fun. And I have strong opinions on that because I used to homeschool my kids and then I switched to doing more of interest-based learning where I wanted them to chase their passion and then be creative with it. I didn't let them have distractions like video games or iPhones and things like that when they were younger. And I just wanted them to just fill your day with something that interests you. And it is amazing how much they naturally, without being forced to learn, naturally just want to learn. So it was really cool because I read this book in 2012 and now it's 2024, 12 years later, to see it tested out on my own kids and be like, it works. It really does work. He talks about how much, for most students, their fear of performing poorly on tests just left them feeling anxious and stressed. Can you relate? Do you remember studying and feeling so stressed out about studying all the time? I can add to that like my kids don't take tests for anything. Taking tests doesn't make you smarter, right? It's just to make it easier on the teacher. It's not about how good you can memorize information. It's how well, like I talked about in my homeschooling, my 5-day, I don't know, homeschooling workshop, that like it's so much more about how can you reiterate and teach others the information? How can you take information and add value to society from it? These students in the book, he talks about that the only hope at the end of the day is their upcoming holiday or to get through the day, that they weren't, whereas my kids like wake up in the morning and they love their morning routine. They always have a book they're reading because they like reading. It's not because I tell them to. They're always writing books. They spend usually about 2 hours every morning pursuing something that they're just excited about learning. After that, they might pick up an instrument because they just love playing music. They might be drawing, doing some other form of art. And of course, we're always out doing outdoor adventures. A lot of times, kids end up accepting their parents' and teachers' values to sacrifice present enjoyment for future happiness. Of course, my parents, they don't have any stoke in life. My teachers, they're not stoked in life. So, because my parents and teachers have taken on the value of being a rat racer, of deferring happiness until some future date, then naturally kids become the same and take on that same mentality. We do this so that we can build these impressive resumes. We do 80-hour work weeks. He goes in his book to tell lots of stories about how this is so common. We're working for raises, promotions, bonuses, partnerships, but we're still unhappy. Many people can work hard and achieve and not be rat racers, though, if they know how to enjoy what they're doing along the way. So if you have a job that you work really, really hard at, or you're trying to save up for a house or something that really feels like it's going to be fulfilling for you, that's not bad. It's when you're doing it because you're telling yourself that, hey, someday in the future I'll be happy, so I should just keep self-sacrificing now, or this is the only way that I will ever be happy is if I self-sacrifice now. Society rewards results, not processes. Say it again. This is important. Society rewards results, not processes. The arrivals, not the journey. I think this is something that I have noticed for myself, and travel for so long has taught me how to really be present in the journey. Parenting has really taught me how to enjoy the process, not the end result. There's never going to be this end day. There's never going to be first this destination I get to that this is it, end all be all. I never want to travel again. I know I'm always going to want to travel. There's never going to be this achievement that my kids have that I go, that's it. Wipe my hands of parenting. I'm done. I'm out. They did this thing. It's an ongoing process. So you have to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, and stop rushing from one achievement to the next and never really fully embodying the struggle of it, the suck of it. But hopefully, in Be the Hero, we're teaching you how to change your mindset around the suck. Obstacles become opportunities, as you're going to learn. When we make mistakes, these moments of relief for happiness, when we mistake these moments of relief for happiness, what he's talking about in the book is how we okay, I'm going to work hard for this test, and oh good, this test is over. This is living, this is happiness, this is, I talk about it in my, when I talk about drowning, head above water, swimming to an island. We're so used to drowning that when our head's above water, we're like, this is it. This must be living. And it's like never stopping to think, am I at the island I want to be at? And can I go to more islands? So when we mistake these moments of relief for happiness, we reinforce the illusion that simply reaching goals will make us happy. The absence of pain is but a momentary relief from an essentially negative experience. Okay. It's like we cut ourselves. Oh my gosh, the bleeding has stopped. Instead of asking ourselves, maybe if we weren't rushing, we wouldn't have cut ourselves to begin with. Maybe if we were taking our time, being more intentional. The absence of pain should not be the happiness. The rat racer confuses relief for happiness and continues to stay on the hamster wheel of goals. Can you relate? Is this something you struggle with? I'd be surprised if not. So take the time in to pause and ask yourself, do you, at times, feel like you're part of the rat race? Looking at your life from the outside, what advice would you give yourself? All right. So pause, take the time, actually journal this, and then we'll come back to the next lesson. All right. Welcome back. Okay. Hedonist. Like I said, this is something that I struggle with at times. Our lifestyle, especially since 2016, really think 6 months in Europe really pulled me into this hedonism that I sometimes have to like catch myself and get more disciplined in. But hedonist seeks pleasure and avoids pain with little thought about future consequences. Now, that's not to say I was totally not thinking of them. I was just like, wow, I finally got to be here in Europe. No work for 6 months. I just want to enjoy being happy. We had saved up enough money to not work for an entire 6 months. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't work. Gabby and I started the blog at that point. We were doing things that would eventually lead to future happiness, but it really wasn't the top priority. For me, I just wanted to make the trip the most amazing possible. And I think there's some value to that. But we can also look at it and go, oh, if I'm too much in that pleasure cycle, am I telling myself, is my brain saying, you know what? Effort is pain. I know this is a very strong sticking point, we could call fighting point for my husband and I, because he has a tendency, he's actually the opposite. He's never really been a rat racer. He ends up being in the nihilist and the hedonist. He's very much in the present moment and had never been taught through childhood programming to think about the future. And hopefully he can share that journey in another course or mastermind. But this concept of the future, pretty much the only thought toward future is don't take risks, grind out your life for safety and security. So we're not even talking about the lawyer who's making 500,000 a year or the successful entrepreneur who's thinking the future. I think a lot of people maybe came from more poverty or a fear mindset from their parents that, like, hey, money doesn't grow on trees. You're not worthy of success. You need to just grind it out, take whatever work you can, because people like us, we don't make it in life. Like, that's those people over there on that side of the fence. And we have to catch that if our hedonism is because we don't have a belief that we are worthy of something more, of something bigger, then that's going to cause a whole other series of problems. Okay, so I want you to think about obviously there's potentially detrimental things for pleasure in the moment, like drugs, but that's not really what we're talking about here. We're really talking about things like, okay, you come home, you're like tired, exhausted. It's just easy to open Instagram. It's easy to not do a lesson and like learn something about self growth and be the hero. It's much easier to consume information, consume entertainment, or just zone out. You know, the problem is that without challenge, he talks about this in the book, how they've done studies, and like most people who don't have challenge end up feeling this void in their life. And I'd say, like, myself with my Europe analogy was very true to that it was hedonistic, it was pleasurable, it was enjoyable, but even deep down I couldn't go 6 months without trying to chip away at something. That's why Gabby and I started writing the blogs. Even if I look back and go, man, our blog was really bad back then, I didn't know I was still pursuing something. I started writing a book while we were there. Actually, I wrote 2 books while we were there. I started the process. Was I perfect at it? Heck no. Did I make a lot of mistakes? Heck yeah. But for me at least, the natural set point without challenge was a void. And so I had to find this way of balance. And if you catch yourself, I mean, I think the most amazing thing is that I've given my kids the gift of boredom, right? My kids literally allow themselves to be bored all the time, and then they go and be creative. Like, the reason they play so many instruments and have blogs and love to write books, it might not be that they're the best piano player, have the most successful book written or any of that, but they feel happy because they sat in boredom and then said, huh, I'm bored. I want to play a fiddle. Mom, will you order me a fiddle? Tatiana, hey, Mom, I want to play the flute. Okay, here, let's get you a flute. And then they do it. And because of that creative outlet, it triggered happiness. It's like, wow, I find joy in myself. I find joy in the process. That's what we're aiming for. That's what we're looking for. But if we're in a rat race mentality, it's really hard for us to allow ourselves to just be bored long enough to be creative. I am not going to try to pronounce this person's name, but this quote in here says, the best moments usually occur when a person's body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. Oh, look at my typo. Um, Another quote in here is that by John Gardner. I can pronounce that one at least. We are designed for the climb, not for taking our ease, either in the valley or at the summit. This is so much how we live our life. Like this idea of, I want to climb mountains, but if we only get caught up in the climb the mountain, climb the mountain, climb the mountain, and we don't enjoy the process of the hike, of the journey, of the setting the bolts, I'll let you in. then we're going to end up feeling defeated, moving towards nihilism. We have to step into this balance of the two. All right, so your time in. Think back to a time, a single experience, or a longer period when you lived as a hedonist. What were the costs and benefits of living this way? And for today's lesson, that's where we're going to end here, just contemplating happiness and hedonism. Or I'm sorry, rat racer and hedonism, the two extremes of all for the future or all for the present. Think about that. And then tomorrow we will be back with part 2 of chapter 2.